Welcome back to another lesson, and in this lesson I'm going to be showing you how to start a new project. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. All right, as you can see, this is what you're going to see when you open CapCut. Okay, it's going to look like this. Now to create a new project, you can click hit new project here, and it's going to load. Now you have our screen here, which is what you saw on the previous lesson where I showed you the interface. Okay, now there's also another way to create a new project. Let's say you're already working on a project in here. You can easily go ahead and go to menu, and you can go to file and new projects. It's going to allow you to create a new project, but it's going to ask you if you still want to create a new project because this new project is going to be saved. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel because I'm not trying to create a new project. I already have a project here. So just like I covered in the previous lesson here, I want to want to cover this again so that you guys understand that this is something that you have to do when you're creating new projects here. Okay, now, before you even import anything, you have to decide and know what videos you are going to be importing in here. Let's say you were editing, regular videos, 1920 by 1080p, full HD videos. Now, you want to make sure that your project settings here, or your details, as they like to call it in this software, they are gonna match your videos. Last thing you want to do is have settings for a vertical video, but then you import, a horizontal video. So what I'm going to do here is you want to go ahead and go to modify, which is, I covered this in the previous video, but I'll do it again because this is really important, right? Most important thing here is to change your project here. So I'm going to call that, I'll call this a course project, something like that. Okay. Now, next thing I want to do here is you also have your save location here where it's already saved. Now, we also have the option to select how you want to store your import material. So if you import a video into CapCut, it's asking you where do you want to store that, right? So there's an option to copy the project, right? This is gonna move your material from the source, from the original place, into the project, right? And you also have keep original in place. Okay, so what's gonna happen here if you select this first one here, it's gonna move that material into the project. Now if anything happens to your project, you are gonna lose the copies of that. Okay, now if you select this, if you have the material saved in your computer, right, you need to be logged into your computer in order to access that material. So if you are working with maybe other people, you might want to copy the project. But if you're just working on a project by yourself, just click on keep in original place. Okay, because this allows you to, if anything happens, you still have the original files. Okay, or the files saved in your computer. Okay. Now, the next thing is going to be the ratio. So ratio here is referring to the aspect ratio, okay? Aspect ratio is, if I click on the drop down here, there's different aspect ratios. So the full HD 1920 by 1080, or or anything that's ultra HD or maybe 4K, it's going to be 16 by 9. This is the default for everything that's HD, right? HD displays. Now you also have a 4 by 3, which is a little smaller. You also have these different aspect ratios here. You also have a 9 by 16, which is going to be for vertical video. If you've seen TikTok videos, right, they are all by 9 by 16. It looks like your phone, literally. Now on the bottom here, you also have 1 by 1. This is going to be a square video, right? If you've seen videos that are on Instagram, those square videos, that's a 1 by 1 aspect ratio. So depending on the project that you're working on, right, you can pick a default aspect ratio. So I know that the projects I'm going to be working on are going to be 16 by 9 full HD. Click on that aspect ratio. Now we also have the resolution here. So resolution is going to be the size of the screen. So adapted is going to be, it's going to adapt from whatever footage you put in. So if I import footage that's 1920 by 1080, I am going to receive it's going to adapt to that. Okay, but I don't want to guess that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit customized. Now it's going to allow me to set here. So as you can see here, 1920 by 1080, that is HD. Now if I go to the frame rate here, right, so now you can change the frame rate here. Now I'm going to go ahead and click this drop down. So most people do 30 FPS is really good for a lot of videos, but if you're trying to do something that's cinematic, I would choose 60 FPS. So I'm going to go ahead and click 30 FPS here. The color space, I always leave this default one unless you want to experiment with these other ones. This one is what works for all video editors. You can never go wrong with this one. Now you also have an option for a free layer here. So the free layer essentially, if you turn this on, it modifies the relationship between tracks and changing the track position. So this is something that I never turn on. If you want to experiment with it, go ahead and do that. Now, the next part of these project settings is going to be the performance here. So the performance, there's only one option, which is going to be the proxy setting here, right? So the proxy essentially allows you to speed up your editing, and also video quality is not going to be affected, right? So a proxy is going to kind of like lower the quality of the video that you're editing, right? When it lowers the video that you're editing, it's important to know that the video that you import, which is a result, it's gonna be in 1920 by 1080p and 30 fps or 60 fps. You are gonna get the good quality video, but while you're editing, you might lower the quality in order to speed up your editing process, because sometimes if you are editing large files, and you don't have a really good system, your computer system, it's gonna lag, right? In order to avoid the lag, you want to turn on the proxy. It's gonna lower that quality, so it still allows you to edit that, to speed up the editing process and not lag in your computer. Okay, so I always turn this on just in case I have, I'm editing a huge file. Now the resolution is gonna be what you see on the display here. So your video is not going to change, the end result is not going to change, but this is just what you see here. So I'll just do 720 because you can still see a lot of detail. Okay, go ahead and hit save. There we go. So now we have set our project settings. This is how you create a new project here in CapCut. Pretty simple. It's important to set those project settings if you know what type of videos you're editing, so that when you import different clips or different sizes, they don't change your project settings because you set them to adapt. Okay, you want to make sure that you have solid project settings. So that is pretty much it for this lesson. I'll see you guys on the next one.